Guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock, which means it's time for a Talk Magic. And today I am speaking to an absolute superstar. This person has rapidly become one of my favorite performers. I've appeared on stage with her very, very recently, and she lit the room up. She's only 13 years old, and she is already making a huge name for herself. She's already done more at the age of 13 that a lot of magicians do their entire career. The future is very bright for this person. I am, of course, talking about the one and only Magic Maisie. How you doing, How you doing, Maisie?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming on Magic TV. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me on here.
You're more than welcome. And I meant every word that I said. You are like seriously inspirational.
Thank you.
So many different reasons. First of all, you're only 13, and the stuff that you've done, and we'll get into some of the things that you've done, but at the age of 13, the opportunities that you've already had are amazing. You're an incredible performer, both close-up and stage. You've already found your character. And what I like is a lot of female magicians have a certain style or have a certain approach to doing magic. They kind of get pigeonholed in a particular direction. But already you found this completely different character, and you've made it your own, and you kind of establishing yourself in this industry by doing your own thing, and that's just really amazing. So
thank you.
Yeah, before we start anything, I just want to say congratulations. Congratulations, you're doing great. But there's going to be people watching this, because this goes out all over the world, so people in so many different countries watch this. Most people in the UK, I imagine, will know who you are, but outside of the UK, maybe not. So before we go any further, let's talk about your journey into magic and how you got into magic and where it all started. I mean, you're 13 now. When did you get into this? How did it all happen?
So I got into magic when I was 6 years old. And I was at a party, and my second cousin showed me a magic trick. And I was just amazed, like shocked. So he taught me how to do the card trick. And then I went round the tables at the party and performed the trick for them.
No way.
And then I just fell in love with it since, really. So yeah.
So were you always interested in performing? Because that's a very brave thing for a 6-year-old to do. Oh, you've taught me this trick, now I'm going to go and show it to everybody. Were you always outgoing as a child? Were you always interested in performing, or was magic the first thing that kind of like brought this out of you?
Well, I've tried to do a lot of things like karate, which I couldn't do. And then I quite like to do, I tried dancing. I wasn't that good at that, but acting, like I went to an acting after school club and stuff like that. So I just loved performing, really. So just started doing acting, and then the after school club used to do shows and stuff. So that kind of built my confidence a bit. And then I got into magic, and it was kind of good that I started to do performing before. So it was kind of like my confidence was a bit better before I started. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I suppose the next question is, you're 13 now. So you started when you were 6. So you've been doing this for 7 years. You're sitting there in a room with your own banners, tons of props. You got your own logo. You got branded merch. You got your own website. You go out and gig at the age of 13. How did we go from a 6-year-old girl running around doing a card trick she got taught 2 minutes beforehand to you sitting there merched up, your own website? I suppose the question I'm asking is, a lot of kids that get into magic, they just do it for fun, but it looks like you're taking this very seriously. Like, was that a conscious decision? Where did that come from? How did we get from there to where we are here now?
So once my cousin showed me the trick, for Christmas, I started asking for like Marvin's magic sets and stuff like that. And then my dad's friend is a magician as well. So he suggested I go to a magic club. So I joined the AWS and then started learning stuff. But obviously when lockdown hit, we couldn't go anymore. But we started doing Zoom calls, watching Zoom lectures and stuff like that. And then someone suggested about Blackpool Magic Convention. So we went there in 2020 and we loved it. We spent a lot of money in the dealers hall. And then we saw the lecture. I forgot what lecture it was, but it was about children magicians and social media. So after Blackpool, we thought it'd be good to set up an Instagram account and a YouTube and start just filming magic videos. So I started to do that, like posting Instagram videos and YouTube, and then it's just like getting to know other magicians really, and then going to conventions and yeah. But I do want to do this when I'm older, so.
Oh, I can tell. I know. I can tell that this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I suppose I've got lots of questions. So the first question is, I mentioned earlier on about how you've kind of gone your own way, and I don't mean that in a sexist way at all, but you see a lot of female, not all of them. I mean, there's a lot of female magicians, especially younger female magicians that kind of focus on the pink and the princess and the unicorn things. You know, when I was working with you a few weeks ago in Newmarket, you were trying to raise the dead. You were communicating with the dead. You were doing a seance. You had a Ouija board in front of you. That's about as far removed from unicorns and pink and princesses that you can get.
Yeah.
How did that all come about? Like, I mean, just looking at the way you dress, a lot of the clothes that you wear with your logo on are black. Was it a conscious decision as a female magician not to be sort of pigeonholed into that sort of way of doing things, or did you just kind of go, well, this is who I am, this is the way I want to do things? You know, I suppose, how did you find your character is what I'm trying to say.
I think because, as you said, a lot of female magicians are like flowers, but I just thought it'd be good to be a bit different from the female magicians, because there's not a lot of female magicians. Like magic is very male hobby, or but this is kind of like me, and I just like to do it a bit differently to other people. So yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. And let's talk about the act that you did at Newmarket, because when I was on stage with you, as I said, you were doing this whole, one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. You know, it was you were talking to the dead, and it was this incredible whole mentalism routine with this kind of occult twist to it.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Is that kind of the act that you do, or was that specifically just for Newmarket, or do you have different acts? Like, I've seen that one. So before we talk about the other stuff that you do, how did that act come to be?
So it's a kind of different act, like a different persona. But we came up with the idea because on my Instagram we did Halloween videos.
Okay.
And me and Dad was sat thinking of what we could do for a Halloween video, and we were just talking, and I said, oh, wouldn't it be good if you could have a working Ouija board? Like, that would be really cool. And Dad's quite good at art and like making stuff, so he was like, oh, I might try that. So he made one, a Ouija board, and we filmed it for Instagram and posted it for Halloween, and then we kind of just didn't work on it as much, but on the group that I'm on with Wayne Goodman, there's a man named Drew on there, and he makes props and things. So we were talking about it a few months ago, and he said that is actually a really good idea. Like, he could make it and improve it for us. So then we did Zoom calls and had a chat about it, and he made an upgraded version of the one that we made. And I performed that week. I had a 2-day stage show in Bristol, and they asked for me to do the Ouija board act because they'd seen it on Instagram. So I did the Ouija board act in Bristol, and then I did it in Newmarket as well. But it's kind of like a different persona and a different act.
Something that you bring out for special occasions.
Yeah.
Around Halloween. Okay, that's cool. And you talked about performing on stage at Bristol.
Yeah.
Do you do more stage work or more close up? And how, I'm guessing when you started, it was close up and it moved into stage. Do you want to talk us through kind of what?
I do. So kind of at the minute, I'm doing more close up, but I do really like stage. So I've tried to do more stage magic. So I've had the Bristol show, And I just really enjoy, I think it's really good performing on stage because it's more than a few people, and it's just, I love seeing everybody's reaction to the trick that I'm doing. So I do really like stage, and I hope to do more of that. Yeah.
Do you prefer stage to close up? Or do you prefer close up?
Oh, that's hard. I think I do really like stage. I do really like close up, but I'd probably stage.
Okay.
But I do really like both.
Well, talking about close up, I've obviously seen you perform quite a lot of close up tricks, and you do it brilliantly. But one particular routine that I've seen you do that like is just incredible is the invisible purse routine by Wayne Dobson, and I've never seen anyone else do that other than Wayne and yourself. And Wayne watches a lot of these interviews, and I think he would agree with me. You do it as well as him, which is,
Thank you.
the guy's a legend, and you do it as well as him. You've really kind of made that your signature piece, haven't you? How did that all come about? Because honestly, I watched you do it, and I'm like, I need to do this. Like, it was just mind-bogglingly good. But it's like an older routine. A lot of people that get into magic now, they don't look at the hidden gems, the older stuff. They look at the newer tricks that come out. What made you kind of go down the route of a trick that's like probably 20 or 30 years old?
So Wayne Dobson is one of my favorite magicians. So when I kind of first started magic, I looked at on YouTube all of the older magicians to come up with some new ideas. And I came across the video of Wayne Dobson doing that routine, and I loved that routine. It became my new trick, my new favorite trick. And then Dad made what is needed for the trick. I didn't want to give it away. What is needed for the trick. And then I started performing it, and it just became my favorite effect because it just got really good reactions, and I just love performing it.
That's great. And is that one of your signature tricks when you're actually out performing close up as well? Okay. So what advice would you give to kids getting into magic? Because we're seeing now like quite a lot, even just a few years ago, it started with Izzy Simpson, I think, but we're seeing now a lot of kids not just getting into magic, but getting into magic and becoming really well known within the industry in a very short period of time. And I think about people like Izzy Simpson, like Killian, like Jasper, like yourself, like Ryland, like Aidan McCann, people like that. And I just see there's so many kids getting into magic that are so incredibly talented and doing as much as, if not more than, their adult sort of peers. What advice would you give to a kid getting into magic that wants to build a profile up like you have? Because let's be honest, you have got a profile. You walk around the Blackpool Magic Convention, people are going to know who you are. So how did you build up that profile? Was it the branding? Because every time I see you, you've got your logo. You are, it's like, oh, I can recognize you a mile off. Like, I suppose, how did you build up that profile? And what advice would you give other kid magicians that are coming into magic that would like to kind of be at that same level?
I'd probably say read a lot of books, magic books, or watch a lot of YouTube videos and practice. And I think also speak to other magicians and build confidence, because I think also Blackpool Magic Convention is really good to build confidence, because like in the Ruskin you can perform to other magicians and they can help you and give you advice. And also if you mess up, it doesn't really matter because everyone in the room is a magician. So I'd probably say practice. And I think just speak to loads of people as well, because then it helps you to know more people as well.
Okay, that's really good advice. So basically just get to know as many people as possible. Who has been an influence in your career? I mean, obviously we mentioned Wayne Dobson. I know you've mentioned to me off camera Wayne Goodman a few times, right? Is that somebody who's helped you with your career?
So we met Wayne Goodman at Blackpool, and he told us about Facebook group he does, and said about joining it. So me and Dad joined the group and started doing Zoom calls, and they're all really supportive and helpful on there as well. Because if you're working on a new trick, you can show them, and Wayne and everyone would give you advice, and it's a really nice place to be, like group to be in, because everyone's really nice and helpful and supportive. Yeah, I'd probably say Laura London as well, because obviously she's a female magician as well, and she's just amazing. I saw her at Blackpool, and her cheat show. Yeah,
incredible, isn't it?
It was incredible.
I've seen it 3 or 4 times now, and I have no idea how she does any of it. Like,
it was incredible.
Blows me away every single time.
And also we watched her lecture as well. And I also say Mark Calabrese at Blackpool was an amazing performer as well. We went and saw his lecture, and it was amazing. But yeah, I've got loads of favourite magicians. But yeah, I'd say they're probably like the top ones.
Okay. And you've mentioned several times during this interview your dad. Building props, building Ouija boards.
Yeah.
My gosh, I mean, he's like the Q to your James Bond. Is your dad really supportive of your sort of your journey in magic? And I suppose have you like Ryland, for example? He's my son, so he's grown up around magicians. Have you got any magicians in your family, or is it something that you've had to kind of make your own way with?
So my dad is really supportive, and he's really helpful. So if I get a new trick and we're learning it, he'll learn it as well to help me with it. And my dad's really supportive and helpful. And if I need like anything, he'll help me with it. My whole family is really supportive as well. And in my family, my second cousin does magic. Like, he knows some magic, so that's how I got into it, really. So yeah, but I'd say my dad says he's not a magician, but I'd say he is, because he knows quite a lot of the secrets. But yeah,
I've met him a few times. He seems to know more than most magicians do, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. Okay, now I want to ask you another question before we move into a different direction. Over the last few months, I've seen you in the Newmarket meetup that Wayne organised. You went on stage and you performed in front of 40-odd people, and there were a lot of magicians in that room. You talked about performing in Bristol, and when you were performing in Bristol, you were performing on stage to a big group of people. One thing that seems to cripple a lot of magicians, not just kids in magic, but also adults, is that nerves, not being able to even perform because your hands are shaking and you're so nervous, and just the thought of walking out on stage makes it very difficult. And it's even worse performing in front of magicians, right? Because you kind of think, well, they all know what I'm doing. This is ridiculous. Yeah. But I've never seen you nervous. I've seen you perform several times in high profile, high pressure situations. And if you are nervous, you're very good at hiding it because I don't see it. So I suppose, A, are you nervous? And B, have you got any advice for people watching this as to how you deal with nerves? Because it's something that I've specifically noticed about you, Maisie. You come across, it's the old expression, I'm going to feel old now, but you come across as cool as a cucumber. Like, I don't know if that's...
So I do get a bit nervous. I do get quite nervous. But I think it was like the first time I performed, I was really nervous, like petrified it would go wrong. And then the more I performed, the less nervous I got, because I thought I can do this now. But I'd say for advice with nerves, I just think I know it is really hard to be nervous, but sometimes, because when I first performed, I overthought every little thing. And that probably made me more nervous, because I was thinking, oh, what if this goes wrong? Or that might go wrong. And then I just think, if I don't overthink it and I just go on stage, and then I'll be good, as long as I know what I'm doing, like practicing, but just not overthink it.
Okay. And so don't overthink it. Just go out there and just do it. That's really good advice. Okay. So I don't know how much we're allowed to talk about this, so please tell me to shut up and I won't be offended at all.
Okay.
I mentioned earlier on about opportunities that you've had at a very young age, and one opportunity in the last year has been pretty huge. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this. Can I mention what I'm alluding to? I think you know what I'm talking about. Am I allowed to mention this? I am. Yeah. Okay. So you were involved in filming a pilot for a potential TV show.
Yeah.
You got flown over to Ireland, I believe, and you were working with people like Aidan McCann, who's obviously massive, just massive, and Joel M, obviously, who has become one of the biggest magicians on the planet at this point, just taken on to host Blue Peter. I mean, damn, wow. So that's amazing at the age of 13 that you're getting that opportunity. Where did that come from? And what was it like? And what can you tell us about the show? I will leave it in your hands.
Okay. So we got a message on Instagram. So my Instagram's run by my mum and dad. And my dad said, "Oh, there's a message here." And he read it first because I was at school, and read about there had been a TV opportunity. And my dad was kind of like, "Oh, I don't know if this is real." Because obviously sometimes you get scam emails or something, messages. But and he got the message and then replied back, and they gave him a phone call, and it was to go and film a TV pilot. So then I came home from school, and Dad was like, "Right, I've got something to tell you." And I was like, "Oh gosh, what is it?" And he said, "There's been a TV opportunity for you to go and film a TV show pilot." And I was really excited. And then he said who is going to be doing the show with me. So Joel M and Aidan. And I'd seen Joel M at Blackpool, but I'd never met him. And I'd seen him on Instagram, and I was really excited to meet him. And I just thought, wow, like I've been asked to be in a TV show with Aidan and Joel, who are amazing. And when my dad was on the phone to them, he just said, "Oh, out of interest, how did you come about Maisie?" Because we thought, it might have been from Instagram or the website. And Killian O'Connor's mum mentioned me.
Oh, right.
So they were looking for a female magician. And Elaine said, "Oh, you should check out Magic Maisie." So then they went and looked on my page, and got in contact with me. So yeah, it was lovely for Elaine to suggest me to them. And then I just had to film some videos for them, and then because I think there was me and two other people who could do it, who they were looking at to do it. And then we got the phone call saying that we're going to go to Ireland, and I was so excited. And it was just amazing being there. It was lovely to meet Joel, and it was just amazing to film, because I've never actually filmed stuff before in kind of that environment, like TV. And it was just an amazing experience, and it was just fantastic. So
that's great. And is there going to be more episodes? Like, what happened? So it was a pilot, wasn't it? What's the situation now moving forward?
So they'd filmed that pilot episode to send to other companies, and they're still waiting to hear back from them. So we haven't heard from them yet. Well, we asked if they'd heard anything, but not yet. And obviously, if it takes off, then there could be more episodes. But it obviously depends who it gets picked up by, because some companies might already have people to do the TV show but it depends who it gets picked up by. So it might be me, but it might be someone else. But even if it's not me, it was just an amazing experience to be there, and it was an amazing opportunity as well, and I really enjoyed it.
It's incredible. And that's such a considering you're 13, that's such a mature attitude to take, when, hey, if it's me, that's great. If it's not, hey, that's great. I mean, there's lots of opportunities that are going to be presenting themselves to you. I know they are, with the amount of talent that you have.
Thank you.
I can just see that you're going places. And with that in mind, What's the plans for the future, Maisie? Like, you're 13, obviously you're still at school. You mentioned earlier on you want to be a full-time magician. Do you have
Yeah.
any like goals that you want to hit within magic? Like anything in particular that you want to do? If I could snap my fingers and make anything happen, what would you like to see happen in your career?
So I'd love to do it full time. And I would love to be on stage and like have a stage show and tour around the world. But obviously that is quite a lot to do, not to do, like to, that's like a big thing. So I'd love to reach that point. But obviously if it doesn't work out like that, I'd just love to do it full time and like gigs and stuff, and also do stage shows. But my dream is to have like one big stage show and tour around the world to perform it.
That's great. And you know, you're already gigging. I mean, before we started filming the camera, you filming and rolling on the camera, you were talking about how you know, you've got this gig coming up, you've got this gig coming up, this wedding coming up, you got this wedding coming up. Do your friends at school did they find it a bit weird, you know, that you know, you're 13 and you're making money going and doing gigs, traveling to Newmarket, then the next day to Bristol, and you're appearing on stages, and do they find it weird, or is it just like, oh wow, this is awesome?
So not everybody knows at school, but like my friend group do, and all my friends know, and they think it's really cool that I'm going to different places and doing weddings and stuff, and they think it's really cool.
Do you get asked to perform lots and lots and lots and lots of tricks?
What, at school?
Yeah, by your friends.
So when they come round, I've got like a side of the room that is loads of magic. So every time my friends come around, they're like, "Oh, can you show us a magic trick?" So yeah.
That's awesome. And do you have any other interests as well as magic, or is it just like, I mean, all magic 24/7? Because every time I see you, it's magic, 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 magic. I mean, is there something else that you enjoy doing as well?
Magic is my main thing I like to do. I've tried loads of stuff, as I said earlier, and it's just not really worked out. And this is the only thing that's stuck, really. And I just love it. So this is kind of like the main hobby.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you are you going to be at Blackpool again in 2023? Are you coming to Blackpool?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to seeing the most?
I'm looking forward to seeing the One show.
That's going to be very good, right?
I feel like that's going to be amazing. Because obviously all the magicians have had to audition for it, and then they've picked like the best ones. So I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to be on stage and their acts. I'm also looking forward to seeing who's going, so like what magicians and the lectures. And I just really enjoy like meeting up with people and chatting with everybody again, because it's kind of nice to see everybody like once a year again. Because obviously there's loads of people from different parts of the country or around the world, so you don't always see them. So it's nice to kind of meet up with people that you've met before. And it's just really good to chat with people. And I'm really looking forward to the shows as well, like seeing what shows they're going to be.
They're always spectacular, aren't they?
Yeah.
Have you got any advice for people, not just kids, but adults? Have you got any advice for anybody that's coming to Blackpool for the first time? Because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
If you've never been to Blackpool before, I've seen a lot of posts on the... I think there's a lot of people that have got into magic over COVID, and they've decided this year, 2023, is the year they're going to Blackpool. And I see a lot of people saying, I've never been before, I'm going to Blackpool. And I'm like, first time you go to Blackpool, it's like, wow. Like, have you got any advice as somebody who's been there now that can, you've been a couple of times now, haven't you? You went in 2020 and 2022. This will be your third year. Is there any advice that you can give to somebody that's going to Blackpool?
I'd probably say, like the first year we went, we bought everything that we thought was amazing. So just everything, we're like, wow, we'll buy that. I think have a look and think about the things before you buy it, because once we got back from Blackpool, and kind of had a look at what we bought, a lot of it we didn't really use because like it was just everything we saw we bought because we thought, oh, it was amazing. So I think have a think about what you're going to buy before you buy it. So kind of, and on Sunday as well, they kind of do like sell it cheaper. So kind of have a look round. So this year we kind of had a look around the first time and didn't buy anything. But I noted down what the things that I was interested in, and came back and had a look at it the second time. So I had to think about what I bought before I bought it. And I think this year I spent my money better because I use a lot of it now. I feel like I bought stuff more practical and what I'd use out for gigs and stuff, whereas 2020 I just bought everything.
You get back and you look in a carry bag and you're like, why did I get this?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this thing?
Yeah.
I needed at the time?
A lot of it I just unwrapped and I just didn't use it. I probably used it about once. But yeah. And I'd probably say, so this year the app was really good as well. So we kind of planned what shows and lectures we were going to see before the actual weekend, because there's a lot of things going on and sometimes the lectures or shows are at the same time. That's the one problem. It's like there's 2 lectures or 2 shows that are on at the same time and you really want to see them. So it's kind of good to plan what you're going to go and watch or see first. So you know, like kind of the plan of what you're going to do. But yeah, Blackpool's amazing. I really enjoy it.
And you mentioned the Ruskin, which is obviously the social part of Blackpool, or the kind of informal part. Do you have any advice when it comes to, you've said a couple of times in this interview, go and meet people, go and talk to people and go and chat to them. And I agree 100%. But part of going to Blackpool for the first time, it's very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
You walk into somewhere like the Ruskin and you see somebody who you kind of think, oh my gosh, this is such a big name in magic. Have you got any advice in terms of how to actually go over to these people and break the ice and build connections with people? Because it is great advice, but it's kind of, how do I actually do that?
Yeah, like I'd say 2020 I was only 10, so I was kind of really nervous and it was kind of a shock seeing loads of people, and so, oh gosh, how am I gonna like talk to people? But you kind of like I think sometimes you just kind of, a lot of people at the Ruskin or at Blackpool or conventions kind of all just sit in a circle and jam together. So I think sometimes just kind of like if you know some other people as well, you can go over there and sit in the circle with everyone, and kind of just introduce yourself to the person you want to speak to. And then I think what's another good way to kind of build your confidence with the person, like to talk to them and make friends with them, is to show them a trick. Because then you can start talking about tricks and what magic you like to do. And it's just nice to kind of make friends with people that have the same interest as you.
Again, really good advice. Completely agree with you, 100%. I want to ask you one last question, which is, you mentioned a few times about social media and your Instagram account and YouTube, and having watched a lecture at Blackpool, you decided to get more involved in social media. A lot of magicians want to try and do social media and they struggle really badly. And they give up and they don't bother posting anything. Have you got any advice for anybody who's wanting to start posting on social media or wanting to start doing YouTube or Instagram? Any advice of how you can make that work for you?
I think like be creative. So you stand out from other magicians, like think of different ways and think of ideas of how you can be different to other magicians. And just start posting regularly, and then you start to get followers, and then you kind of make friends through there as well with other magicians. But I think, post regularly, and you just start to get to know other magicians on there as well.
Okay, yeah, that's really good advice. And are there any particular Instagram accounts that you like following that you'd recommend other people follow? Any magicians?
Joel M. Jackie U is amazing.
Oh my.
Yeah. He's going to the session as well in January.
Are you going to the session?
Yeah, I think so, and I think it would be really cool to meet him. He's amazing.
He's a legend.
So Jackie Yu, Joel M, Laura London, Mark Calabrese, and it's just cool to see of what tricks they do as well, and just see like how like Jackie Yu is just amazing, where he does magic tricks on a clear table to prove that there's nothing, he's not hiding anything, and I just think that's really creative and original. But yeah.
Absolutely. And the one thing we can learn from Jackie is that whole thing. I mean, everybody does it now. It's got merch with oh my, like you know, it's having that thing that people associate with you. That's kind of really important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, one final question. I promise, then I'm done. Last question. Obviously, you're 13. I might mention that. So coming up on GCSE soon, will you know? I suppose the question is: do you find it difficult, magic and schoolwork? I mean, it was a very long time ago that I was in school, like ridiculously long time ago. I'm very old. Do you find it difficult balancing the two, or is it not really too much of a problem?
I think sometimes it is hard to find time to practice where because I get a lot of homework. So it's kind of hard. Sometimes it is hard to have time to practice and stay on top of your homework and stuff like that. But I try and practice as much as I can and kind of get my homework done as soon as possible so I can practice. But yeah, and at school I kind of have picked subjects as well that can help me with magic. So I've picked drama to help me build like performance, and yeah, so yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. This has been a really awesome interview, Maisie. It really has. Where can people follow you? I'm going to put this at the bottom of the screen or in the description. What are the what's your website? What's the social media links that you've got so that people can follow you?
So my Instagram is Magic Maisie, and my YouTube is also Magic Maisie. And my website is www.magicmaisie.co.uk.
I'm seeing a theme. Magic Maisie. That's it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So people can follow you on Instagram. They can and they can follow you on YouTube. One final question. I see some great books there. Mark Wilson's Complete Course of Magic, The Amateur Magician's Handbook, Bobo's Modern Coin Magic, my personal favorite. Wayne Goodman's book there. I see Wayne's book. What's your favorite book? What if you had only one book that you could read for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, I'd probably say it's not on the table at the minute. They're quite chunky books, but at the session I bought Joshua Jay's Let's Talk About Tricks, and that is just amazing. There's like over 800 tricks in there. That is probably my favorite book because there's just so much stuff in there. And there's 2 books and there was like over 800 tricks in there. It's just amazing.
You'll never need to buy another book again. Like there's so much in there. You could build an entire act and then some with just the material in those books.
Yeah.
Completely agree with you. Really good pick. Really good pick. All right. Fantastic. Maisie, thank you so much for the interview.
Thank you for having me on here.
You're amazing. You really are. You're absolutely fantastic. You've got a very bright future in this industry. You really have. You really have. And anybody watching this, if you haven't already gone and seen Maisie perform, if she's doing a show or she's part of a show, go and check out her show because it's amazing. And if you see her at a magic convention, go up and ask her to show you a trick because she is amazing. And
thank you.
You're going to do great. So I want everyone to follow you and I want everyone to leave a comment down below so that you can read them. But Maisie, one more time, thank you so much for coming on the channel.
Thank you.
Guys, leave a comment down below. On behalf of Maisie, thanks for checking out this week's Talk Magic. We'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.